Let's turn to Boeing. Those shares are soaring after the jet maker named a new CEO and reported earnings this morning ahead of the open. Joining us now is Ron Epstein, BofA Securities senior aerospace and defense analyst. And Ron, obviously the news of the quarter overshadowed by the announcement of the new CEO. Tell us about how this sort of positions Boeing going forward.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big uncertainties with Boeing was who's going to be the next CEO, right? And it was sort of like this game of, guess who it's going to be. And it leaked out maybe a couple days ago that Kelly Ortberg was kind of high on the list, and then we just found that out today. So, the choice of Kelly, I think, is actually a very good choice. He was the CEO of Rockwell Collins. He was there for his entire career. Grew up in both sides of the business, knows the defense business quite well, knows the commercial aerospace business quite well, and then ultimately sold the company to United Technologies. And then after United Technologies merged with Raytheon, he was a special advisor to Greg Hayes, who was the CEO of Raytheon, or RTX today. So he's a very capable person. He's an outsider from Boeing. A couple points I would note. Rockwell Collins had a fantastic culture. And one of the things we've been talking about, and I think others have been talking about, that Boeing needs sort of a culture change. He could be a real catalyst for it, given his kind of formative years as an executive in his career at Rockwell Collins. Rockwell Collins invested in new products, and for the long term, they also had good focus on financials. They had very happy customers, very happy employees, happy shareholders. So it was kind of a nice balanced capitalism approach that Rockwell Collins had. So I think Kelly is a seed that could be planted and really kind of start to germinate a new culture at Boeing. Being a Boeing outsider, he also has a lot of contacts in the industry that he can bring in that are kind of outside of just sort of the Boeing envelope.
Well, let's talk about the path he has in front of him, a very big turnaround effort. What do these latest results tell you about what's needed in the path ahead?
Yeah, so we've said a number of times in the past that this is a really heavy lift, right? So pretty much, if you look at the defense business this quarter, they had lousy numbers. You look at the commercial business, they had lousy numbers. So far this year, in the first 2 quarters of the year, Boeing's burned through about $8 billion of cash. They've also said in the third quarter they'll burn through cash. So there's a good chance by the end of the year, Boeing could burn through maybe $8 to $10 billion of cash this year. So you have a balance sheet that's been weakened. You have customers that aren't happy. They're being investigated by multiple government entities, NTSB, FAA. So you have a relationship that you have to fix with the U.S. government. And you have a labor negotiation that's going to come up on September 12th. So you have everything between working with your employees, working with your customers, working with the government. So it's a heavy lift. It's something that one person can't do. Kind of back to my point, Kelly's got a big net that he can throw out there and hopefully recruit people to help him do it.
What is the most important, I mean, as you say, that's a lot. What's the most important and urgent thing he needs to address day one?
Yeah, I think day one is the culture and the people of the company. I wouldn't be surprised if on day one he moves out to Seattle. One of the things we've been calling for is you have to have management where the critical mass of your manufacturing is. Their biggest manufacturing base is in the Puget Sound. So I wouldn't be surprised on day one if he just starts out in the Puget Sound. That sends a really strong signal that he's committed to the Puget Sound, committed to manufacturing, and committed to the business. So I think the most important thing that he can start addressing on day one is the culture of the company. And then that will work its way through everything between manufacturing, on the financial side, the customers, and the whole thing. But culture is really the glue that's going to hold it all together.
Boeing was once known as the engineers company, by and for engineers. Really appreciate your insights here. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah, my pleasure.